Hi people, it's me Anja. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new video. Today's video focuses on my favorite historical fantasies. This video is a part 2. I did a part 1 to this in September. So yeah, I will link that video in the description below. But yeah, let's get started. The first book on this list is called The Gilded Wolves, written by Roshani, Chokshi. This book is YA historical fantasy, and it follows a group of tight-knit friends who must pull off a heist, and it's set in the 19th century in Paris. This book is so good. I absolutely love it. I'm so excited for the third book in this series, and it's coming out in September. But anyway, this book is so good. The cover alone is so pretty, you know? And the cast of characters as well is just so diverse. You know what I mean? There are people of color, there are queer people, of color, there's an autistic character. Like, we love to see it. This trilogy is so good, and I also just love her world building and her setting and her action-packed, fast-paced plot. But definitely her diverse cast of characters is my favorite element of this story, and I'm so excited for the third book in this trilogy, like I mentioned before. So yeah, please read The Gilded Wolves because it's absolutely so good, and it's definitely as good as people say. So yeah. Next book on this list is called Magic, Dark, and Strange. This book follows a girl who has the ability to raise the dead, and how she must delve into her city's magical, dangerous underworld to stop a series of murders. This book is so good, and it's so underrated, and for what? It has such great world building, a great action-packed, intriguing plot, a great main character at its core, a well-developed romance. This book has it all. It's absolutely so good. I really enjoyed it because I just love being intrigued by this plot and by the storyline and by the world building and just by everything. You know what I mean? This book is so underrated. It really said the diviners who, stalking Dr. Ripple who. This book is so good, and it definitely deserves so much hype. You know what I mean? So I think this story is so underrated, and it's so good, and it definitely deserves more hype than it had received last year. So yeah, with that I would highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called The Dollmaker of Krakow. I think that's how you say that name. Anyway, this story is a middle grade historical fantasy, and it's so good, and it's set during World War II in Poland, and you're wondering, how is this story fantastical? It's fantastical because it's through the perspective of a living doll, which sounds creepy, I know, but don't worry. This author found a way to make this story so whimsical and wholesome, and I would definitely recommend this story to people who enjoyed The Boy in the Striped Pajamas or Anna and the Swallow Man, because this book is so good. The story was so whimsical and wholesome and innocent and delicate, but it was also it also packed a punch as well. You know what I mean? Like, it was a nice balance without becoming too cheesy or juvenile or childish or anything like that. Even though it is middle grade and even though it's tailored to a younger audience, I still found myself really enjoying it and just really falling in love with the story and the characters, you know what I mean? And the world building. This story is so good, and it's so underrated, and for what? So with that, I would highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Ink, Iron, and Glass. This book is a YA story, and it follows Elsa, who's from a world that her mom created. So when her mom is kidnapped, Elsa must cross into the real world to find her. This book is so good. The world building in this story is unlike anything I've ever read, and I don't say that often. This book is so good, and it's so underrated. It's the start of a really good duology. I read this duology last year, and it's absolutely so good. Like I said, the world building is so good. The action-packed, fast-paced plot just kept me intrigued every single step of the way. Elsa is such a wonderful, determined character. Like, she is so well developed. The romance in this story is so well done, and I just really enjoyed it. You know what I mean? This book is so good and so underrated, and for what? I truly don't understand why this book is so underrated, because I feel like it's so unique that so many people would genuinely enjoy it. You know what I mean? So basically, like I said, this book is so good, and I would highly recommend it, and the sequel as well is also so good. So yeah. Next book book on this list is Dangerous Remedy. This book is so good. It's YA historical fantasy, and it follows two girls who are part of their friend group. And what their friend group does is that they typically rescue people who are about to be guillotined. Because this book is set during the French Revolution. However, their latest rescue doesn't go the way that it should. This book is so good, and like I've said multiple times throughout this video, this book is so underrated and for what? First of all, this book is sapphic. We love to see it. Second of all, the world building in the story is so well done and so well developed. Third of all, the plot is so intriguing. Fourth of all, the characters themselves are so well developed and just so wonderful. I really enjoyed the romance in this story, not just because it's sapphic, but because it was so well developed and it was angsty and fluffy. And you know what I mean? It was just the right amount of angst and fluff. We love to see it. I'm so excited for the sequel. I think it comes out in June. I don't really know. But anyway, I'm so excited for it because this book is so good and so underrated. And for what? It's absolutely so good. It's just so good. So with that, I would highly recommend it. Did I mention that it's sapphic? We love to see it. The next book on this list is also sapphic, and it is A Curse of Roses. This book is a YA historical fantasy story following Isabel, who's the princess of Portugal. And this book, I believe, is set in the 12th or the 13th century. But anyway, she has the power to turn bread into flowers, which is really not ideal because she's on the verge of starving, and as the princess of Portugal, she's expected to provide food for the country. You know what I mean? So, anyway, before I get into the actual full review of the story and why I highly recommend it, I like to quickly say the trigger warnings for this story. The trigger warnings for the story all said in the story, you know what I mean? But if you're the type of reader who's going to skip over the table of contents and the dedication and all of that, I just want to quickly say them before you go into this story, because trigger warnings are important for many reasons. But anyway, the said trigger warnings are religious-based self-harm, religious-based internalized homophobia, and religious-based eating disorders. So if any of those three things trigger anything for you, I would not recommend this story. But anyway, this book is so well done. I really enjoyed the world building. I really enjoyed the sapphic romance. I really enjoyed the main character. She has such drive and determination. She's just so cool. I really enjoyed the plot. This story is so well done. We love to see it. You know what I mean? This book is so good. And like I've said multiple times in this video, this book is so underrated, and for what? It's absolutely so good. So with that, I would highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called The Midnight Guardians. This book is a middle-aged story and follows Cole, and after his imaginary friends come back to life, he must go to Blitzbombed London to help save his sister. This book was so good. Similarly to the Dollmaker of Krakow, it had the right amount of being cozy and whimsical and wholesome while also packing a punch. You know what I mean? Like, it was a nice balance. This book is so good and it's so underrated, and for what? I really enjoyed the world building, the plot, the characters. This book is so cozy and wonderful and lovely. It's just so good. I was so glad that I was recommended to this story and that I liked it just as much as the person who recommended it to me. You know what I mean? This book is so good. It's just so good, and I don't understand why it's so underrated. Similarly to the Dollmaker of Krakow, I would also recommend this book if you enjoyed Anna and the Swallow Man or The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, because this book is just so wonderful and lovely and wonderful. You know what I mean? I said wonderful twice. But anyway, this story is just so good, and I would highly recommend it. So, in conclusion, historical fantasy is a very underrated subgenre, and I definitely highly recommend all the books on this list. And like I said at the beginning of this video is a part 2 to my favorite historical fantasies. So, in the description box below, I will be leaving part 1 of my favorite historical fantasies, as well as any recent reads videos where I've mentioned any of these books previously, just in case you want more photo detail. So, anyway, if you enjoyed this this video. Please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below your favorite historical fantasies. Subscribe to my channel if you're new. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!